In this video, I'll be continuing with more suggestions that every law student must follow who is participating in a moot court competition. My ninth suggestion is that avoid a thing that we call as a case law diarrhea. What most students think is that if we put 15, 20, 50, 100 judgments in our moot court competition solution or a memorial, or if during the arguments we try to put as many judgments as possible, that it will go in our favor, whereas in fact it is not so. Try to limit your case laws to the case in point and which are more appropriate and to which you know the facts and the judgment of, because obviously when you have 50 judgments in your memorial, then the judge will definitely know that you don't know even a single of those, or at least most of those. Therein the judge will trap you and ask you what were the facts of this case, what were the facts of this case. So therefore you must always avoid a case law diarrhea. Always commit to cases which are most appropriate and try to push only those judgments during the arguments which will support your argument, and not just to show off that yes, I do have a Supreme Court judgment or this High Court judgment. And even in judgments, always prefer the latest case laws. This is because a previous judgment might have been overturned, or this is not prevalent, and there must be a completely different law that exists today. So therefore you will avoid that. Secondly, even the judges appreciate the latest case laws and they will give you more marks. The next suggestion is that always dissect the facts and inhale the facts. That is, your best friend in any moot court competition are not judgments, are not arguments, but your facts. What happens is, practically speaking, whenever there is an moot court competition and the judge is assigned, so he mostly focuses upon the facts of the moot court proposition and neither your cases or your opposing side cases, because there simply isn't enough time for a judge to scrutinize any single judgment. So therefore a judge always focuses more upon the facts of this case, and therefore you should too. In any case, facts are the only thing that acts the basis of any argument, be it legal or otherwise. So therefore always try to dissect facts. In fact, when I will explain the pairwise proposition of this moot court competition, I will give you example and I will illustrate to you as to how do you dissect the facts. My next suggestion is that always prepare your side of the facts. What I mean by that is, whenever we start a moot court competition and then we say that if my lords are well versed with the facts, and the lordship may does say that no, just tell me the facts. So you should have a ready reckoner with you, which you can consult and which you can read or which you can remember, that wherein the facts are presented in such a way that is in support of you. Every single moment or every single minute of moot court competition is an opportunity for you to present your arguments, be it in a cloak of anything else. So even when a judge asks you to present the facts, always try to prepare the facts in such a way that they are in supportive of your arguments. My next suggestion is that take benefit of undefined or vague sentences in moot court competition proposition. There must be many vague terms, phrases, or open-ended paragraphs which can mean anything, right? So even in law, as is a very common phrase, that even a comma or a semicolon makes a hell of a difference in the interpretation. So is the case with open-ended sentences or open-ended paragraphs which can be construed in any way. So therefore try to take advantage of that, and in fact I will show you how even through my next video, that is where I will discuss the moot court proposition. My next suggestion is that that is a thing that I say apart from the whole moot court competition, that is, if you have an option whether to prepare for a moot court competition or do an internship, I would say choose the latter one. You have been told incorrectly that if you prepare for moot court competition it will help you in your future practice, whereas it actually offers very little as compared to internship. So of course moot court competitions are better than doing nothing. So at least something is better than nothing. But if I have to draw a parallel, let's say you have an option to invest 30 hours in preparing for moot court competition or 30 hours in internship, I will say always go for internship. That will prepare you better for your legal practice than moot court competition. But still, okay, coming back to that, my next suggestion is always go to the root of the source as far as possible. What I mean by that is, so whenever you quote anything in any moot competition, be it an article or a judgment, anything else, so there are certain circumstances where an article is quoted within an article or a judgment is quoted within a judgment, and so forth. So therefore, what most people do is, or in fact some people do is, that they quote the uh, article which actually quotes another article, whereas judges will never accept that. So if an article is quoted inside an article or a judgment is quoted inside a judgment, so therefore go to that root source and try to find out what that says and not anything else. Otherwise you may land up in a big trouble with a judge. My next suggestion is that there are various steps that everyone should follow in a moot court competition. What people do is they straight away sometimes jump to the issues, sometimes to the arguments, sometimes to the facts, sometimes to the judgment, and there is no structure to whatever they're saying, and ultimately they lose the judge, they lose the courtroom, and they lose the argument. So there is a structure that needs to be followed. What is that structure? First, issue. Always state, okay, this is the issue, whether this thing happened or not, whether he is criminal liable or not, whether he is liable for damages or not, or whatever the issue may be. Next, always come to the conclusion as to what are you trying to prove. That is, you say, your lordship, the issue before us, that is the first issue, is whether so and so committed murder or not. Now I intend to prove that he or she did in fact commit murder by so and so. So therefore you tell the judge your intention, that what you are going to prove. Third step is state your facts in support of the argument, not the law first, always the facts first, that I intend to prove this and these facts are in my favor. So this fact, this fact, this fact, this fact. Then come to the law, that okay, the section so and so of so and so act says that if this happens, then a person is criminally liable, and I have proven these things through these facts. So find a correlation between facts and law, and then finally say the judgment, that in this judgment it was stated so and so. So always follow this structure, otherwise it would become a very haphazard way of arguing which no one will appreciate. Now my final suggestion and the last point of this video is that when there are more than one arguments in support of an issue, then arrange your arguments from strongest to weakest. For example, if you have to prove, let's say, a tortious liability, right, and then you have multiple arguments in support of that. Okay, he did this, therefore he's liable, he did this, therefore he's liable. So you have, let's say, 3-4 arguments, but you must have an understanding that okay, these arguments are mostly in my favor and these arguments are not so strong, they are weak. So always do keep all the arguments in your memorial, but do arrange them from strongest to weakest, and always argue the strongest first, because sometimes you may not have time left to argue that issue anymore. So therefore just delve into the strongest point that you have on this issue and then jump on to the next issue depending upon how much time you have. So this is, guys, this is my last suggestion, and in fact the last of the list of suggestions that I have regarding moot court competitions. Now in the next video I'll straight away jump into the moot court proposition and delve into each and every para. I hope you like this video. Keep liking, sharing, subscribing with your friends, because this video series is meant to be as an equalizer. So therefore please do it, and thank you so much.